Hi, my name is Michael Ros. I'm the founder and CEO of Bidroom.com. As some of you know, Bidroom is an online booking platform, but with a subscription business model. When we started the company, we want to do it differently. And if you're looking at loyalty and subscriptions, this is actually the thing we're discussing today. This is actually working on daily as well in our company. And by creating loyalty, I think this is something now really, really relevant. If you're looking at what is happening in the crisis, I think the recovery can be done by your loyalty members. But also, I think it's good to address that recurring income and revenue is actually could help you during this crisis as well. Today, we have amazing speakers, speakers from all over the world. The same with our attendees. If you look at the attendees, I just quickly check at the list of attendees which we have today on the webinar. They come from all over the world. There's some from the US, Canada, the Emirates, many of them in Europe. So all over the world we have today following the webinar from today. As I mentioned before, this is actually my favorite topic. It is something I love to read about, to speak about, is this whole membership economy. And this is something we're addressing today in this great webinar. As I mentioned before, we have amazing speakers from all over the world. We have Claudia Scharf. She is Director of Customer Support at Loyalty Prime. We have Mark Ross-Smith. No, it's not family, I guess. He's Loyalty and Data Editor at Travel Data Daily. And we have Amy Conari. She's VP and Chair of the Subscribed Institute at Suora. So without further ado, I would love to start because I'm really happy that we got great speakers today. I would like to start with Claudia. She's now, I think, in Munich, if I'm right. So Claudia, the screen is yours.
Thanks a lot, Michael. Thanks for the introduction. Warm welcome also from my side, Claudia Scharf, Director of Customer Success at Loyalty Prime. I have a background in marketing and consulting, but my heart really beats for loyalty. So similar to what Michael said, I really love loyalty. And I found the perfect opportunity at Loyalty Prime, who is a leading provider of loyalty technology in the cloud. And now let's have a look at today's topic, loyalty and subscription in travel and hospitality. For the next 50 minutes, I like to do the following things with you. I first of all would love to look into the history, just briefly, of airline and hotel loyalty. Before then, really looking what is subscription. So where is it coming from and what is paid loyalty? Then we will move on and look into 5 value propositions travel and hospitality can apply to their paid loyalty programs. And then afterwards, we check if there's really a need to change. And last but not least, I will close with the benefits of paid loyalty. Okay, then let's get started and let's take a walk down loyalty lane. Because airlines and hotels have been among the pioneers of loyalty marketing, so they've been paving the way for many other industries to come. American Airlines has been the first airline to introduce a loyalty program 39 years ago, and many other hotels and airlines followed suit. It took another 16 years before, for instance, Boots started their program in 1997. So we can really say airlines and hotels have been the pioneers of loyalty marketing. Fast forward to today, not that much has changed, because looking at the programs today, they are almost all the same in terms of nature and type of program. So don't get me wrong, obviously the programs have evolved over time. They were adding great experiences and rewards. They were even adding gamifications or sweepstakes, but from really the type of program, it's still points and tiers, but actually there's so many other types out there. It could be points programs, subscriptions, or cashback. So it feels a little bit like they are stuck in the status quo. And actually what we are seeing, so from meetings with our customers, from research, that subscription is really gaining momentum. Thanks to Amazon Prime, who has pioneered and actually already proven that this is a valid option in loyalty. So in additionally to Amazon, what we're also seeing is a generational shift. So especially younger generations are more looking, or actually are more open to paid loyalty, and are also less thrilled about collecting points or earning miles to reach a certain status level. And before we now look into concrete models, what could be paid loyalty look like for loyalty for airlines and hotels? Let's have a look at subscription first. So where is it coming from and what is actually behind paid loyalty? So subscription has its origin in the 17th century. So I was actually quite surprised when I did some research for this webinar. The first ones to use this business model were booksellers. And initially the way it works were that authors or booksellers were really creating lists which people had to sign to then later on get a raw copy of the book. Obviously, over the years, this business model got further fine-tuned as we know it today from many industries like telecommunications, public transport, or media and entertainment. Here, especially obviously Spotify, Netflix, or all the newspapers have shown us how well the subscription business model can work. Then in 2005, Amazon was among the first to apply this business model to their loyalty program, Amazon Prime. And applied to the loyalty space, it actually means that program members pay a recurring fee for benefits they can use right away. And that's basically the complete opposite of what all the other programs are doing, where you have transaction first and rewards later. So Amazon was first in 2005, but then it took another 10 years before competitors followed. And as of today, it's still almost exclusively retailers. So it's either in fashion or the fast-moving consumer goods. You can see some of the retailers are on the slide. So unfortunately, this time it's not airlines and hotels paving the way and being first, but travel and hospitality can still jump on board and shape this trend. Among others, I could find one company within travel and hospitality, which is Lyft. This is an American ride-sharing company which applied subscription to their loyalty program. In 2018, they introduced the Lyft Pink program, where you can, for $20 a month, you could basically enjoy a discount on every ride and additional perks and benefits for scooters and bikes. So having this in mind, what could now be possible subscription models travel and hospitality can apply to their programs? Generally, whenever we talk about a loyalty program, it's a kind of value exchange. Customers remain loyal in return for benefits, discounts, or any other perks they can get. If they now even have to pay for it, we need to make sure it's worthwhile. And we identified 5 value propositions which might be relevant for hotels and airlines. The first one is usage. It's similar to the Lyft example. It's basically, it could be 2 things. It's either a discount on every booking, or it could be that, for instance, per month, members can enjoy 2 flights or 5 nights at a discounted rate, so that you kind of put a limit to it. Also, within usage, airlines and hotels could think about having subscription passes for different target groups. So there might be a leisure pass for holiday customers. There might be a business pass with 10 nights included, the leisure pass with 2 nights, or there might be even a neighborhood pass, which is for all the people living close by to a hotel, and they can then enjoy a discounted breakfast or the gym membership for a month, for instance. Excuse me. The second one is then services. Services would be that members simply buy one of the services upfront and then enjoy it. So it could be that members get access to the lounge or enjoy late checkout. Travel and hospitality could package any kind of service into a product and sell it to the members via subscription. This is not necessarily new. Some of the airlines and hotels doing this already, but it could definitely be further extended. Number 3 is exclusivity. Instead of achieving the frequent flyer status or the silver tier by collecting points and miles, members could buy into the status right away and becoming, for instance, a gold member with all the attached benefits. Research has shown that members especially value the VIP treatment of superior levels, so this might also be a valid option. Number 4, bundles. Obviously, you could bundle any of the 3 value propositions we just talked about to make sure that the value the customers are getting is really worthwhile. So now you might wonder and say, okay, this sounds all really nice if you start from scratch. But as we know, most of the airlines and hotels have already a running loyalty program. And that's why there's a 5th option, which we call coexistence. Because obviously free programs as well as paid programs can coexist very seamlessly. So you could, for instance, think about a loyalty scheme with normal tiers, and then you add a paid tier on top. So members can choose if they want to use the traditional way of collecting miles and points, or if they want to buy into a status right away to receive the benefits. So these 5 are some quite interesting value propositions, but one of the questions we haven't answered yet is, do we actually need to change? I said we are somehow stuck in status quo, but maybe that's fine and we can even remain with our points and tier-based programs. So, and to answer this question, we can look at, I want to look at 2 dimensions. The one is from a customer perspective. So are the current programs meeting customer needs as well as shareholder needs? Let's start with the customer needs. So customers are looking for an attractive and relevant program. And looking at some of the latest research, many companies are not delivering on this request. According to Bond, consumers belong to 14 loyalty programs, but they are only active in 6 of them. And Capgemini is also further supporting this research, saying that 54% of loyalty memberships are inactive. So it looks like that companies are really struggling to make programs relevant and attractive for their members, which might be no surprise given the fact that a lot of airline and hotel programs are pretty similar, and customers might not looking for another points program. Then having a look at our shareholders and CFOs especially, they're constantly questioning us about the program's return on investment and the points liability. Both topics are headache material, as I can tell from many meetings with our customers. But let's have a look into it. So if we just consider the liability of one of the biggest hotel and airline programs, the figures are quite impressive, or actually quite high. So looking at airlines, American Airlines comes in first with a liability or deferred revenue of 8.6 billion end of 2019, followed by Delta and United. And hotel is a pretty similar picture. Marriott comes in first with 5.7 billion and then followed by Hilton and Hyatt. So there's actually a lot of money piled up as liability on their balance sheets. So the program financials might be another reason to further evolve the program. So this was just quickly having a look, but I think there might be really a need to look if what else is out there. And then the question is subscription one of the possible solutions we should look into if we really want to evolve our program? And we also looked at this question and we think yes, because it's a subscription is a win-win for both travel and hospitality as well as their members. Looking at travel and hospitality first, you will definitely benefit from attracting only your best customers. So it's for sure your paid loyalty program will attract a narrow but loyal audience. So you will definitely have less members in your program, but also your costs will be less too, because you're only giving out benefits really to the top tiers or the top loyal customers of your program, and you don't drag along the ones which might register for the sign-up bonus and then not really showing up anymore. You also create stickiness and retention. If members pay a monthly fee, they want to get the most out of their investment. So they will definitely use your products and services to fully leverage their membership. And this will also create increased engagement. So you will see members engaging more with the program, because the good thing about paid loyalty, they can access their benefits 24/7. So whenever they want, they can really enjoy what is attached to the membership. And given the current loyalty landscape, you will definitely differentiate yourself from other programs and can create a unique selling point. So all in all, you will probably see an increased revenue, hopefully, and also thanks to the membership fee, a recurring income stream from the fees. So you might now say, okay, this sounds nice in theory, but does it also work in real life? We looked at 2 examples. One is Amazon. They have by now 150 million subscribers, and their members spend 5 times more than non-members. And their subscription revenues account for 6% of their total revenue, which in absolute figures is $14 billion US, which is quite a lot. Now you might say, I don't want to compare myself with Amazon. Then we also have Restoration Hardware, which is an upscale American home furnishing company. And they basically reported that 95% of their business is driven by their subscribers. And then, as I said, the members have benefits too. So the first thing is they have access, or they receive benefits and gratification instantly, which in today's world, and especially with the younger customers, is really valid because customers are really important. They are expecting instant feedback, instant delivery. Everything has to be instant and immediately. And some of them simply don't want to wait anymore for points to unlock or for rewards or for reaching certain rewards. So this is definitely an advantage for the members. Additionally, as I said, they can access their benefits 24/7. And you also keep this kind of exclusivity as they still will be the most valuable customers. All in all, members could benefit from more attractive and generous rewards compared to, for instance, free programs, which probably are not able to deliver these kind of rewards, at least at such a high level. And then we were also wondering if members would actually pay for a program. And here research has shown that 62% of respondents would actually sign up for a paid loyalty program. And this figure jumps even to 75% among millennials. So this is a clear sign, a clear direction that there are really people interested and looking for paid loyalty. Exactly, and this actually brings me to the end of the presentation. I personally have only one question left. What has actually Loyalty Prime to do with all this? And we will provide you with the flexibility you need. So many travel and hospitality companies run their programs on on-premise legacy solutions. In many cases, the solutions they implemented 15 or 20 years ago. Many of these solutions, unfortunately, don't provide the possibility to either move to subscription or to add a paid tier. And this is where Loyalty Prime can become a possible solution to address this challenge, to really give you the flexibility you need in today's world. Yeah, and with this, we are at the end of the first presentation. If you have any questions about the slides, subscription, or our cloud platform, we can either address them now, or you could obviously also reach out to us. And we are really happy and also interested to hear your experiences with subscriptions and the first steps you're taking. Thanks a lot.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Claudia. I think, well, I'm reading every day about the loyalty subscription. And if we see again your presentation, I think I saw it before. Your heart beats for loyalty. I think all of the people who speak today, I think we have the similar feeling. I have a question. I saw what was interesting that 14.8 of the loyalty programs are actually, it's the average numbers of consumers, but only 6.7 are in use. What do you think is the mistake that loyalty programs are making? Because in this case, like less than half is only in use. So what can they improve to make it more active?
I usually summarize it with these 2 terms, attractive and relevance. So you could actually just also work with relevance. They are simply not relevant enough for the members. So they're not bringing them the value exchange members expecting. They're not engaging enough. And here you can do lots of different things depending on your target group. I think it was even in the invite talking about emotional connections, gamification. So there are a lot of possibilities, but it really comes down to how can I make sure my program is relevant enough for this target group, And subscription could also be a possibility, obviously.
As you see, for example, if I look at memberships or loyalty programs in the hotel chains, you have the Marriott, the Hiltons, you got many out there. And still some people are connected to one or two brands. Is it because, what do you think this makes a difference? Is it then the hotel or is it the loyalty they're creating by communication?
I think it's probably both. So I can also talk for myself when I'm also a member of certain loyalty hotel programs, and I like the hotel, the style, whatever, but I also like the program. So just for instance, talking about Marriott Bonvoy, I think it's a great program. They have lots of things to offer, and if this is exactly the thing the target group is looking for, then this is perfect. So it's definitely for me a combination of both great program and great hotel.
Okay, and a question from the audience, from Martin. I see the question is how COVID-19 changed loyalty. You think did this COVID or the crisis changed how people using loyalty or think about loyalty?
To be honest, I'm not sure yet if it's really changing how they're thinking and using it, but what I'm actually hoping for, that it's giving a huge push to loyalty, because in a crisis, the one thing it comes down to is your loyal customers. You need to retain your customers. It will be really difficult in a crisis to acquire new customers. So it comes all down to your loyal base, and the perfect thing to keep these customers engaged and motivated is a loyalty program. And obviously also to say thank you to these customers. So I'm actually hoping the crisis will give a push, and let's see what will really happen in the way we interact with programs. Here, I'm not pretty sure yet.
Okay, I have much more questions, but I think I'm running out of time. So thanks again for a great presentation. Next speaker today is Mark Smith. He is CEO and CEO at Loyalty Data and Editor. I think I read even you just wrote over 100 articles about airline loyalty. So for sure, you have a lot to talk about it. So the coming 50 minutes are yours. And after I'll come up with some more questions. So Mark, good luck.
Thank you, Michael. It's great to be with everyone here today. Alrighty. Going to shift gears a little bit from Claudia, and I'm going to talk about airline loyalty a bit here. And more specifically, I'm going to dive into 10 really quick, easy things to digest on how hoteliers can, what you can learn from airline loyalty, because traditionally, over the last 30 years, airline loyalty has been very successful, massively profitable, and probably the best example of loyalty in the world today. So I'm going to go over 10 things that we can learn from this. And if I can go next slide, there we go. A bit about myself first. My role really, I'm really a cheerleader for the loyalty industry. My job is to really empower loyalty managers so they can improve their program, so that they can bring more what I call moments of joy to travelers all around the world. I've written a lot of publications in different media around the world. I publish a lot on my blog, traveldatadaily.com. I'm a partner at Newer Loyalty, which is a boutique consulting firm that specifically helps airline loyalty programs. Everyone in that company has worked for an airline before in senior management. And myself, I ran the Malaysia Airlines enriched loyalty program into the single most successful and profitable years in the history of the airline. So I think we all saw in the media in the last couple of days about United Airlines using their loyalty program as collateral to secure a government loan. They secured a $5 billion loan from the government. Now, what's really interesting here, what we can learn from this is the loyalty program is worth more than $20 billion, but the market capitalization of United Airlines is 11 billion. So the loyalty program is actually worth more than the entire airline. And this is the same trend for American Airlines and pretty much most airlines around the world today. This is because in airline loyalty right now, they have the ability to generate revenue right now, even with fleet grounded. And this ties a lot into subscription as well that I'll get into. But I want to get into these 10 things quickly because I've got a lot to get through here and hopefully I've got enough time. Number one, price is almost irrelevant to loyal travelers. In the segment of loyal customers, so these are customers for hotels, I would say this is anyone that stays more than twice a year with your hotel or with your chain. These people don't value price as much as they value other things. So they value recognition, being treated right, all these, maybe it's the points and miles, maybe it's the gift that they get when they come back to your property. They all value different things. And it's your job as a loyalty program to figure out who values what and then give them that prize as an inducement to get more business from them. So for example, there's an example on the right-hand side here. I don't know if you can zoom in and see this. This is actually a screenshot from the Emirates website when in the booking flow, when you're booking a flight. Now, what's interesting here is the saver column, which is the first price selected here. You would earn 2,850 miles for booking that flight. Whereas the flex column, you'd earn 7,125 miles for that flight. And you can see the price difference between these two fare types is really not a lot of money. So for people that are in the loyalty program that really value loyalty and the benefits with Emirates, they're not going to choose the saver fare. They're going to choose the flex fare because they get more value out of the miles. Basically, they're buying the extra miles. This is really interesting for airlines because this is essentially using the loyalty program to get people to pay more unnecessarily. They're basically buying miles off the program. So this is a good example where the product is not about price, it's about something else. And in this case, it's about miles. Number two, it's essential to give people real upgrades. I think we've all been into a hotel where we're checking in and the front desk, they say, you know, congratulations, Mr. Ross, we've upgraded you to a Premier Deluxe room tonight. And you've already booked the deluxe room. And so the upgrade you're receiving maybe is just a higher floor. Maybe there's really not much difference in the room. If you can imagine if airlines had the same attitude, right? If you book your seat and you've got, say, a window seat towards the back of the plane in economy class, and then as you're boarding the aircraft, they say, congratulations, we've upgraded you to an aisle seat. This is a bit of a slap in the face for a low member. So if there's something we can learn from airlines here is provide real tangible upgrades. So basically the upgrade idea is you want them to experience the product, something they wouldn't necessarily buy themselves. Number three, not every traveler has the same spend profile. And this is where segmentation really takes hold. Segmentation and CRM really come into this space here. You don't want to treat everyone the same way because they don't all have the ability to spend the same amounts of money. For example, a business traveler that's just at your property for one night and he's checking at 11 p.m. and he's going to check out at 8 a.m. the next morning. Very different spend profile to a family that is staying there for a week. The idea is don't try and sell them the same types of things. You need to look at who these customers are, what they're most likely to buy based on previous trends, and use that data to predict the likelihood of that specific segment buying that specific product in the future, and then only show those products to these travelers. So this could be like an on check-in type upsell, or maybe on the booking path on the hotel website. So the takeaway here is segment your database. Number four, I think we've all seen that most major chain hotels and airlines have extended the elite status for most members for at least the remainder of this year, or provided some sort of consideration. Hotels, Hilton specifically, were very fast out of the gate. Shangri-La, I believe, probably the first one out of the gate to really extend status of elite members. Airlines were very slow, and there's still a lot of airlines that have not done anything about this. And there's a reason. It's because elite status is the #1 driver to change behavior and get new business from customers. And if you go giving this away for free, some people won't value the status as much, and therefore they just won't stay. They won't try to retain it. And if they stop trying to retain it, it means they're going to stay with you less. They're going to fly with the airline less. And so that's why a lot of airlines were very slow in sort of coming out of the gate and extending statuses, but just because there is so much money at stake from these small group of people that hold elite status. If they stop spending with the airline or the hotel, this could be major implications. I'll give you one example quickly. Obviously, I worked with Malaysia Airlines, and in 2014 when they had the two jets, the incidents. I was very curious on the impact that would have on loyalty. So obviously I got in, that was one of the first things I did when I joined the company, I had a look at that impact on that. It was very interesting. What happened is they ended up extending the status of almost all elite members by up to 2 years after that for free. And while that was a feel-good message at the time to the members, it's sort of saying, you know, you're here for us, we're here for you. Loyalty is a two-way street. What happened in the years after that is not desirable, to say the least. It had a big negative impact on loyalty. So the lesson here is, don't just go shelling out status for free. You need to have some sort of buy-in mechanism to it. This is where sort of status matching is a bit of a touchy subject. You need to do it really correctly. You don't want to just go gifting it out for free. You know, I know I think every person I know in my circle has had free Hilton and Accor status in their life just because it was so easy to get. And what that means is people don't care to stay there. They won't go out of their way to stay there because the status is not valued as much. And so if you can keep the value of that elite status up higher, people will take your chain more serious, take your hotels more seriously, and they will spend more. Number 5, this is really about partnerships. And in airline loyalty, everyone's very familiar with the co-brand credit cards that generate a lot of revenue for airlines. There's one study that we did with New World Loyalty that looked at the co-brand credit cards and the impact that actually has on the airline. And the biggest impact it has is not selling miles and points to banks. The biggest impact is it's actually a customer acquisition tool for the airline, a very cheap one. So the idea is passenger sees this credit card, they like it. There's a bonus, they can earn some points on miles if they apply and get approved for this card. So they get the card, they start using it. And what happens is they start flying the airline. Just subconsciously, they just start booking tickets for the airline. They fly that airline. So, you know, for example, let's say it's a British Airways credit card, they'll start flying British Airways, even though prior to that, maybe they only flew Ryanair. So what's happening is the airline is changing that person's behavior, and they're sort of taking away this low cost behavior from them and turning into a premium customer. Very cheap customer acquisition channel. So for hotels, for example, you should start looking at other partnerships around your area, maybe locally. Co-brand credit cards is a good way if you have a good user base, because it's never about selling points and miles. It's always about something else. And in this case for airlines, it's about very cheap customer acquisition. And on that note, no, OTAs is a touchy subject, but there's some things that OTAs do very well that ties in very well with airline loyalty programs. I go to the Points Max program they have, Rocket Miles, there's a few others. What's interesting is they use the airline loyalty's brand to drive traffic to their website to get people to book rooms, basically. So in this case, what happens is, I call it the 1 + 1 = 3 method, where the OTA and the loyalty program will do a deal, and it's if the airline promotes that partnership to their base, that doesn't really work so well. So that's what Agoda and Rocket Miles have really figured out. The magic here is when, for example, Rocket Miles goes out and they spend money, real money on, you know, Google AdWords and stuff, and they promote the airline loyalty brand. So they say, hey, come book a hotel here and we'll give you some American Airlines miles. We'll give you some Delta miles. We'll give you some United miles, whatever the case. That brand leverage is much more impactful than the airline promoting your hotel or your brand directly. So lesson here is partner with airline loyalty programs, but do the promotion yourself. Don't ask them to promote your hotel, because that just doesn't work these days. A bit of a trick that you could try to stimulate demand, and this is how a lot of, especially low-cost airlines, really sort of had a beachhead strategy into a lot of markets, and that is leverage off other successful loyalty programs. So, for example, if you have some properties in cities that have a lot of customers, where, for example, Delta Airlines has a lot of traffic coming through that city, you could literally have a promotion that says, show your Delta Diamond card and we'll upgrade your room. You'll get a free breakfast. You'll get a welcome gift. You'll get whatever it is. And so the idea is, it's a bit cheeky, but you're kind of leveraging off the airline's brand to drive more people into your property at very low cost. A lot of low-cost airlines have done this very, very successfully over the years. I haven't seen a hotel do it, so I would love to see one. If you do run a hotel and you do this promotion, please let me know. I'd love to know in the future. All right, number 8. I want to talk about for a second the number one metric that airline loyalty programs use to measure the program, and it's called share of wallet or share of spend. And the concept behind this is not every member in the program has the ability to take 50 flights or 100 flights a year, but some people do. So the idea is, if you have more than 80 to 90% of someone's share of wallet, is, tick is a good thing. That's like the green, the safe area. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you've got one customer that's takes 4 flights a year to see grandma in another country. And those 4 flights are with your airline, right? And that's all the flying that they do. So basically you have 100% of their possible flight revenue, right? AKA they're loyal, they're very loyal. And you have another customer over here is doing 100 flights a year, spending 50,000 bucks on flights, always in first class. On paper, they look much more valuable and much more loyal. But what you may not know is they've got another 50 flights with the competing airline spending just as much with that other airline. So what it means is that share of wallet from that second customer may be 50%. So they're actually less loyal. So you would focus your marketing efforts on that second person because you can move the needle more with them. There's more headroom, there's more revenue on the table that you can capture from them. So this is the number one metric that airlines track. They like to track when people are flying competing airlines. And you see the little photo I've got on the right-hand side here. When you open a lot of airline apps, they ask for your location. This location is not to serve you better or to search flights. This is to basically figure out where in the world you are right now, because they want to track your location all the time. And when they do that, they can figure out if you're flying competing airlines. This is a very deliberate and very intelligent effort. All right, number 9 is what I call small moments of joy. There's a few airlines doing this very successfully. This originates from the book, The 5 Languages of Love, and it's got to do with understanding how people interpret love and joy in their life. And everyone is different. And they say there's 5 different ways that people interpret love and joy. And what the airline does through a series of data collection, they can roughly figure out how you as an individual interpret love and joy. And then they can deliver actions on the ground, so check in on the aircraft that align with how you interpret love and loyalty. So for example, one of the ways you can interpret love is through like touch, through interaction, like shaking hands and things like that. And so, if the airline has figured out that's how you interpret love, when you board the aircraft, maybe the manager is extending their hand and saying, "Welcome aboard, Mr. Ross," and they're doing that very deliberately. But in your mind, you're thinking, "Wow, that's really nice. That's a nice gesture. I like this airline." And what happens is when that's repeated over and over and over and over and over consistently, you start in your mind, you start subconsciously reprogramming yourself to align joy and love with that airline brand. Only a few airlines doing this very well, but it's very, very powerful. The last one I will share with you today is over the last 5 or so years, loyalty in airlines and revenue management have become much closer. Generally, these 2 departments don't get on very well. But what they figured out is when these 2 come together, they kind of form like the Avengers team, and they're very powerful. And they can achieve a lot more together than they can separately. Especially today, I think airlines, hotels, similar sort of boat where all the previous modeling has been done is irrelevant now. And so now you kind of got to try and forecast where things are going without any historical data. Very difficult. So this is where loyalty really steps up. Loyalty has some very different data. Loyalty in a perfect world has third-party data that is bringing into the mix as well. And so if you can start to figure out what type of customers you want, where the demand is going to be. So for example, which governments are easing restrictions on borders and control movements and stuff like that, when airlines are increasing demand. You know, it might be only one airline that's putting on a few flights to this city, and therefore there might be some demand from those passengers coming in, and you've got to figure out how many people will be on those flights. So talking to airlines is very valuable right now. And the whole idea is, if you can figure out what demand there will be, you'll be able to price it accurately, figure out what types of benefits or non-benefits you need to provide, and then that drives your pricing strategy. And that obviously helps with operational issues, how many staff you need, all these sorts of things. There's a lot more than 10 things I could share, but that's all we really got time for today. If you have any other questions, please email me. My email address is below. Add me to LinkedIn. I accept every request, so please add me.
Perfect. Mark, thanks a lot. Yeah, I had a few questions. I actually wrote down really a lot of questions, but if you can keep like short answers, I can ask more. You know, for me, it's always a bit strange. If I look at the hotel space, if I go to Rome, I can choose 1,000 hotels. So there I can imagine loyalty to a hotel chain is really relevant. But the flight by itself, if you're taking a flight from Kuala Lumpur to Rome, you might have chose between one, maybe two airlines, I don't know. I never took this connection. So is then in this case really loyalty really relevant, or is it more the connection which is the most convenient one?
So typically, if people have status with an airline, they'll tend to try and book with that airline, right? It's very difficult to maintain like a silver or gold status with 3 or 4 airlines. That most people don't do that. Most people check one. And so the concept is, whatever the shiny card in your wallet is or your purse is, that's generally the airline you'll go to look for first. If the price is not outrageous, you book that airline. So people tend to not shop on price if they have status with an airline, just because they want, you know, the lounge access, the priority boarding, the preferred seating, the potential upgrades, the miles, all these other things as well.
Okay. The sustainability was the previous topic of iMeet Hotel. I think sustainability is a topic which is addressed multiple times regarding the airlines. Do you see a connection between sustainability, carbon offset, compensation, and loyalty?
There's actually a good New York Times article I was quoting a few months ago about this exact topic. It talked about it talked about our frequent flyers killing the planet because they're flying unnecessarily around the world. You know, they're flying to London just for lunch and then back again. They're not really. Basically, you know, people that are flying unnecessarily like that, they're basically filling a seat that would be empty, most likely empty anyway. And to cart your body halfway around the world really doesn't burn that much fuel up, incremental fuel anyway. So not really. Okay.
And last question before we moving to the next speaker. Paid subscriptions is one in hotel space. It's like we dealing with this as Bidroom. I know that this Wizz Air, the Hungarian airline, they have a kind of a paid subscription. You get extra benefits by paying a subscription. You don't see this in the large airlines so far, as I know. You think paid subscriptions is also something what might come to the airline space, to the industry? Because it could help them during this crisis, right? If they had recurring income now, it's what Claudia mentioned before, recurring income can really save your business. It could help the aviation or the airline industry a lot.
I think so. Look, there's 2 groups of airline loyalty programs right now. There's one group that are just laying down and playing dead, waiting for government bailouts. And then there's another group that are innovating, doing new things, trying to come up with new products. This group of people, absolutely, subscription, I think, is a big thing. I will make a note, though, that airline subscription has been around for quite a long time in different forms. For example, lounge access. You know, a lot of airlines will sell, like, you pay a flat fee per year and you can access their airline lounges as much as you like, no matter what class of travel that you're in. This is really great. I think it works similar to the Amazon Prime in terms of that it basically locks you in with that airline. You know, the logic is if I'm paying $100 to whatever it is per year, golly gosh, I'm going to make use of that $100. I'm going to fly that airline, right? And so it's a psychology thing. It really locks them with the airline. So it's good for the airline, good for the customer, it's good for the business. So I think we'll see a lot more of it. What it looks like, it may be a little bit different to other industries, but I think we'll see a lot more of it coming out over the next year.
I'm curious what's going to happen. Thanks a lot, Mark. Next to go to the next speaker, Amy. She's based in Boston. She's VP and chair of the Subscribed Institute at Suora. So I had a quick look at your presentation before. I really liked it actually, but I think it's even nicer if you're going to share it with the audience of today. So I think you have more than 20 years experience. So much more than me in this space. I think it's great that you're going to be here, and also the screen is yours.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Really happy to be here, and really interesting presentations before mine. It's really nice to be able to go and have the perspective of hearing the other presentations. So I'm going to hone in on the subscription economy, which is a term you've probably heard. It's a term, in fact, that our CEO coined. We actually have trademarked the subscription economy, and really what that means to you is that my role and the role of my company is wholly focused on this emerging opportunity around subscriptions across industries. And so we're going to spend some time talking about what that is, what do we mean when we say subscription economy, and what does that mean specifically for the travel and hospitality industry, especially today. So I'm going to advance slide here, attempt to, there we go. So customers, including you and I, we all have new expectations. And when we say subscriptions, the most important thing that we're talking about there is this notion of value. A subscription is really a relationship business where both parties agree that value is going to be provided. And that value is not simply a one-time transaction. That value is personalized, right? It's in the presentations before me, they've talked about understanding what makes a certain person joyful or happy. Subscription services and the companies that provide them are providing experiences to individuals. And so personal and personalization is a key component of that value. Also, there's the sense that this value needs to be ongoing. If you are paying for something over time, you're making a decision every month or every year. Are you getting value? Are you getting enough value to continue to pay? And so providers of subscriptions, as part of their contract with their customers, must think of ways of providing value that's ongoing and that even gets better over time. Also, we as people have expectations around immediate fulfillment. We don't want to wait for that value to be provided. It's something that we should ideally be able to access digitally. Those are our expectations around the real-time ability to manage our relationship. In these times of uncertainty, maybe it's to put a relationship on hold and resume a relationship when we can get started again. So having the flexibility and agility as a provider to offer real-time fulfillment as well as flexibility over your subscription relationship is very important. And then the very last piece, which is particularly relevant in this space, is that subscriptions are about memorable experiences. The worst kind of subscriber is one that doesn't get any value out of the service at all. And I don't know how many of you heard the news recently that Netflix is now canceling subscribers who haven't used the service in a year or more automatically. And you know what they're saying is if you haven't used this service, you're not getting any value, you're not having a memorable experience, and you shouldn't be paying for it. So this is an example of a company really taking that contract of memorable experiences and the provision of that very seriously. So sometimes people think of subscriptions purely in the financial sense. Oh, okay, I'm going to pay $9.99 a month for something. And certainly there's a financial component to subscription, but if you don't have these elements in your subscription service, you're not really providing value in the subscription economy. The subscription economy also requires a new way of thinking for providers. So the old transactional business model is to start with a product or a service to get that out through multiple channels to end customers. Today's business model in the subscription economy starts with the subscriber, the member first, and the focus is wholly around building memorable services and experiences to that individual subscriber through the variety of channels and ways that they want to access that service. This seems pretty simple, but it's actually quite a profound transformation for industries, profound transformation for companies as well. Wow, that was a really fast presentation. I have one of those Apple Magic Mice that is very sensitive, so I'm going to go back to the beginning and use the up and down arrow instead. If only I could give you all that information that quickly, but I think we're far in the future from that. So an important piece, I just want to make sure, so a new way of thinking. An important thing to think about in the context of subscriptions and loyalty is that there are many different ways to do subscriptions in your industry. Whether that industry be, in this case, travel and hospitality, or other industries as well. So if you start in the bottom left with the old transactional model, we see companies doing one of three different things. And in many cases, they're doing these things simultaneously, but for different parts of their business. So the first opportunity with subscriptions is to enhance your core services and offer a connected or adjacent service as a subscription that doesn't change the existing way that you do business. So this might be a subscription membership or loyalty program. This might be, in the case of the company that's listed here, the logo TripAdvisor, an opportunity to pay a subscription for premium listings. The other opportunity is the X as a service model. In today's world, we've seen almost everything turn into a service. This is the idea that you're actually transforming the core of your business into an overall service model. The company that we work with that has done this is Surf Air. They provide business travel in California in private jets. And people who travel frequently, this is a really great opportunity for them to have essentially travel as a service, corporate travel as a service. And then the final opportunity is simply repackaging the core to recurring, where Inspirato is an example of a company that we work with who has taken the entire experience of rent luxury vacations and has repackaged a series of services into a recurring model that you pay a monthly fee for. So there are a lot of different opportunities to build subscriptions into your approach. You may be starting with connected services for part of your business, thinking about how to transform another part of your business, or repackaging what you offer as a subscription service. The reason that we see companies doing subscriptions and focused on a subscription approach, and maybe you could, if you could advance the slide, Christian, thank you, is because subscriptions drive growth and subscriptions create value. So because we are at our heart a software as a service company that runs subscription businesses, we're able to track at an anonymous and aggregate basis around 1,000 companies who are running subscription models, some of the leading organizations in the world. And we've found that their growth far exceeds any of the indices that we track, whether that be the FTSE, the S&P. And in fact, we've seen a 350% growth over the last 7.5 years for subscription economies alone. Manufacturing and IoT, is a industry that's outperforming. And I call this out because a lot of times people think subscriptions and subscription economy, they think, oh, that must be software as a service or digital goods. But in fact, many traditional industries, including manufacturing, have been moving to subscriptions. If you move to the next slide, the question might be, well, what's happening right now? And we do have a number of companies we work with in the travel and hospitality space. We're obviously all working in the context of a global pandemic. And what we have found is that the majority of companies are continuing to grow, even in the context of a global pandemic, global crisis. This is in part because these subscription relationships are enduring. For companies that had already built subscription approaches, they are finding these to be very resilient and to really have an important impact on their ability to weather the current crisis and come out of the crisis in a stronger position than if they were just focused on transactional service or product sales. If you move to the next slide, I want to talk a little bit about what this means for companies looking at building out subscriptions. So this shift from the transactional model to more of a membership subscription model to help drive loyalty requires a new orientation of thinking inside an organization. So a shift to experiences from a marketing perspective. I really, again, love the example of thinking about what is it that brings your customers, your members joy, and being able to create that within an experience that really resonates in the subscription economy. The sales model shifting from one-time to deep ongoing relationships. You're selling outcomes. You're not selling things, products, or services. You're selling an outcome that your member, your subscriber is going to remember. And that's very important. It also shifts the way that people think about pricing from cost plus. You know, it costs us to deliver this service. These are our transaction fees. So therefore, carrying that thinking over to how you price for subscribers. Value-based pricing is what wins in the subscription economy. So it requires an orientation around that. It also requires a new set of financial metrics and expectations, from units to customer lifetime value, and from backward-looking financial statements to forward-looking metrics. What's our recurring revenue on the first day of the month going forward for this month? What renewals do we have coming up this quarter? How is our customer lifetime value trending? How is our net retention trending? And what actions do we need to take to address that? So if you go to the next slide, I know we just have a few minutes left here. I'm not going to go through this entire piece here, but I wanted to make clear at Zuora, we work with a lot of companies who are launching subscription services, and there's a methodology for doing that. You'll have these slides afterwards, something to take a look at, and I'd be really happy for any of you who want to reach out to me on LinkedIn or otherwise to continue the conversation about how might you get a subscription service started, or how might you point an existing subscription service in the right direction to see additional growth and success. So for the next slide, just a couple pieces of information on who we are at Zuora. I've given you a lot of information about the subscription economy and hinted at who we are. But again, we are a software provider, a software as a service provider. And really what we are able to do for companies is give them the business agility and flexibility that they need to run a personalized, ongoing value subscription type service. And we do that through a series of software applications as well as a platform. So the next slide is just really a overview of what the company itself provides, all the way from billing to revenue. Again, happy to have a conversation with anyone who's thinking through how would launch, grow, or manage a subscription offering within their companies, and be very happy to have a continued conversation with you on that. So with that, that was a quick overview of the subscription economy with a lot of ideas of how to get started. And thank you so much for allowing me to participate in this conference with you.
Amy, thanks a lot. Impressive. And one thing I always like about Zuora is also the articles you're always providing. So there's a lot of nice articles. So I can recommend all the readers in here, the articles they are provided. You mentioned TripAdvisor, and of course we are in the travel space, so we know each other quite well. And they also are based in Boston. And you mentioned the loyalty what they have, and I think if understood correctly, with the hotels, with their business model, getting recurring income from the hotels. But I know they have 300 million members as a traveler. So what do you think about this group of people? Because it's super important to keep them back, because without the travelers, without the visitors, it's still challenging, right? So what do you think they should do for their members to keep them engaged and get them back to the platform?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think first and foremost, their members are people who love to travel. And I think all of us, whether we're TripAdvisor members or not, are really eager to get started again. We know that we can't do what we want to do right now, but at some point in time we will. And so the important thing for TripAdvisor, or anyone who's in a position where the services that they provide, they just either can't be accessed right now, or they don't have the same level of value, is thinking about how they can maintain engagement during this time. Are there other ways, maybe through digital channels, that they can reach out to members to provide value? A lot of what we're seeing companies do is take resources inside the company that might be underutilized today because of the current situation, and think about getting them focused on new innovation. Is there something that we can do right now that'll position us better in the future, given where we are? The fact that companies who have members or subscribers are usually in a really good position to begin with, because they have these enduring relationships. We're also seeing the importance of pricing agility as well to help save and retain those customers that no matter what might think about canceling during this time and perhaps picking things up when things change.
Okay, thanks for your answer. And one more, just of course, you mentioned customer lifetime value. I think in every company business, this is, I think, the most important KPI. I think this is something you keep measuring, and of course, we do the same. And I think the really strong connected to customer lifetime value is the churn. So what do you think companies should do to reduce churn or to have it as low as possible?
We see a lot of systems tactics, as well as, you know, understanding your customer and using data analytics would be a couple of things that I would say. So in these COVID times, we've seen a 4-time increase in the companies that we work with using suspend and resume as a tactic. So someone looks to cancel, and instead the provider says, you know, rather than canceling, would you like to suspend for a period of time, maybe 3 months, and we'll just increase the length of your subscription by 3 months. We found companies that do that can save 1 in 6 churns. So there's some real systems things that you can do to reduce churn. We've also seen companies, you know, offer different tiers of service where they can perhaps downgrade their subscription for a period of time if they can't access the services, extend payment terms. So there's a lot of things that you can do as a business and the system side to be agile, to do whatever you can to keep that subscriber. The other approach that we're seeing, of course, is data and loyalty, and figuring out how to do some segmentation, identify some cohorts, and reach out to those customers, whether that be personalized. Hopefully it's personalized, but whether that be, you know, real humans connecting with one another or offerings at scale. But that's another technique. These are relationship businesses first and foremost. And so it's important to recognize that and realize that people enter these relationships because they expect and want to see value. And maybe they can't access the value at this time, but they're eager to when things change. So doing everything you can to hold on to them so that when things do change, you're the first one that they'll seek out and want to do business with.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And I have a few more questions, but I will send them afterwards. Again, thank all the speakers for today. I think it was a lot of learnings also for us and for everybody who attending this webinar. So again, thank you all for being here. This is actually the last I Meet Hotel webinar. As some of you know, normally we're doing this already on spot in different locations. We moved actually to the online webinar version, as I think all companies did. But now we have scheduled on the half, I think it's the 15th of September, we plan to have a live session again in Paris. So I hope that everything will be under control and we can host in there. Of course, all the speakers will be here. It will be great to start and keep connected, as your input was really valuable. All people who want to follow the I Meet Hotel information, see the previous webinars, make an account at I Meet Hotel and follow our social media, our LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Again, thank you all for being on this webinar. Again, thanks to the speakers for this amazing input and presentations. And for sure, I will come back to you with a few more questions, and I think the others will do the same. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching, and wish you all a nice evening.